welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be an in-depth look into my current foundation routine. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the primer I use and how I apply it, the foundation I use and how I apply it, my setting powders, my contour powder, my blush, and my highlight. But before I get into that, I just wanna say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your love on my last upload, which was the stop doing your makeup like a YouTuber video, stop doing your eye makeup like a YouTuber if you have hooded and or downturned eyes. I cannot believe the response that video has received, and your comments have made me cry. I'm not kidding. I am so heartwarmed, or warmed my heart to see those types of comments. Truly, when somebody says it's the best tutorial they've ever seen, I mean, that just kind of blows me away, and it means the world to me. It's why I do what I do. It doesn't matter to me if I have 10,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers. Those comments are what keep me going. But I just wanted to say that before I went any further. I have to tell you guys how grateful and thankful I am for each and every one of you. So now let's get started with my current foundation routine. So I am recording this portion of the video on my iPhone and not on my Sony, simply because anytime I do any type of foundation related video, a review or a tutorial on my Sony, I inevitably get a couple comments saying that they felt like it was photoshopped or smoothed because of the smoothing effect on the camera. I do have the smoothing effect turned off on my camera, but all cameras have some sort of something built in. I'm not a camera expert, but they do make your skin look better, just regardless of what you do. Obviously, the smoothing setting can make it even more so. But anyway, I'm doing it on the iPhone just so you all can understand that I am not afraid to show you what my natural skin looks like. I have textured skin. I have large pores. I'm oily. I am going to be 44 in May, so I have you know, my skin isn't horrible. I will never say that my skin is horrible, but it's not great. It's a work in progress like a lot of you. I struggle to find the perfect products. I'm always seeking out. Unfortunately, you know, my budget doesn't allow to get lasers and other treatments as often as I would like. So this is it. Here you have it. So in this video, I am showing you my current go-to foundation routine. It is a little bit more full coverage because that is what I prefer. It is also geared, obviously, because I'm super oily, towards somebody who is more oily. I tend to look for foundations that are very long wearing, that won't emphasize my pores. So let's just jump right into it. So all I have on right now is an Estee Lauder SPF 15 moisturizer. It's their day wear moisturizer. And I let that sink in for at least a minute or two before I go to my foundation application. So I'm gonna start off with something I've only recently started using. It is the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer, smoothing with rosehip and argan oil, pore perfecting. Now I wasn't sure which one to get of these because they do have a mattifying one, but when I looked at the reviews, the mattifying one didn't have very good reviews, but this one had amazing reviews. My only concern with it is that because it does have oils in it, that it might break me out. But as I get older, I'm noticing that oils actually don't bother my skin as much as they did in my youth, where any type of oil would just be immediately breakout city. So I'll update you on how well this is working, but so far I like the way it works under my makeup. What I meant to say is I'll update you on if I break out from it. So the first day I used this, I used way too much. I used the same amount that I would use for like some other primers I've used, like the Professional or the Hourglass Veil. I found that if I used too much of this, the same size that I use of those primers, it felt very heavy and almost like I was just spackling my face. So what I recommend is to do the tiniest little, like don't do a full pump, just something like this, almost like a pea-size amount is great. And then what I do is I focus on my T-zone. And as you can see, it doesn't like get rid of the pores, but it definitely smooths them over quite a bit. I would say the result is very similar to the Hourglass Veil, but this primer is a lot less expensive. I also take the primer underneath my eyes where I'm going to be placing that concealer, so that will also go on smoother and last longer. Now, if the Urban Decay primer is still out of your budget, Another good one that is available at the drugstore is this Milani Prime Shield Face Primer, mattifying, pore minimizing, and oil-free. I tried this one out for several days, and this was really good as well. So you can always prime with this instead of this. Now, if you've watched any of my past videos where I've demoed foundation or just even applied foundation, my preferred method for most is a damp beauty blender. I just fell in love with the beauty blender from the moment they were launched. And what I've discovered over the years working with them and working with clients is that not everybody really knows how to use it properly. It is meant to be used damp, not soaking wet and not dry. I know some people have tried it dry, maybe you like it dry. I personally do not like it dry at all. So the proper way to prep your beauty blender is to take your dry beauty blender, run it under your sink. And what I do is I hold it in my hand like this. This one's already damp, so it would be a lot smaller if it was dry. I run it under the sink and I keep squeezing it under the water, under the flow of the water, until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I do that for approximately 15 seconds or so, and then I really squeeze it out, not under the water obviously, but outside of the water. I really squeeze it out. Then I go over to a towel and I pat it so it doesn't feel wet at all. It just feels damp. If it is too wet, then you're really gonna be shearing out your foundation and you risk getting splotches and streaks. So you wanna get it to the point where it just feels slightly damp and it's about double its original size. Now, I did self-tan my body last night, and I have no idea why I'm looking so splotchy here right now. This camera does me no favors. So I hope everybody sees now that I am not afraid to show my bare face on camera. Anyway, the foundation that I have been loving lately, and I've been trying a lot. You guys, if you watch my videos, you know I've tried so many in the last couple weeks and have been using the Kat Von D, have been using the new Armani, have been using Chanel, have been using everything. But I recently rediscovered in my collection the MAC ProLongwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. And I remember using this when it first came out, probably for several months straight. It was my go-to foundation. The trouble is I could not find a color in this when I was lighter skinned. When I'm self-tan, I can wear this NC35. I remember going to MAC and trying to find a shade that was comparable to like an NC25, and there really wasn't one. Something was off about the NC25 in this. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, now that I've self-tanned, I can use this NC35 again, and I really, really like it. It's an excellent foundation. So what I do is I take a squeeze of it on the back of my hand, so about that much, and then I take the large end of the Beauty Blender and dip it in. And then from there, I start in this area right here, and I stipple it or bounce it on my face. You don't want to do this, and you don't want to do this. You want to bounce it on your skin. And always make sure to get your hair out of the way. And then I like to take it down my neck and also on my ears. I don't self-tan my ears, so I want to make sure my ears aren't white. So that one squeeze usually covers one side of my face only. And then because I have a lot of broken capillaries around my nose, I like to go back in with just a little bit more. And then I take the tip of the Beauty Blender and I go into the sides of my nose and really get this area. It's like the bane of my existence. It's so frustrating, this area. That's where I could really use some laser work for those broken capillaries. So once my foundation is completed, I move on to my concealer. Now, I've shown you guys a lot of different concealers recently. I've been loving the Shape Tape, the NARS Radiant. I did a comparison between those two, so if you haven't seen that video, I will link it somewhere. What I did in that video is I wore Shape Tape on one eye and the NARS Radiant on the other eye and checked in throughout the day just to see how they compared to one another. So again, I will link that video somewhere if you would like to watch it. But in digging around my stash recently, I rediscovered another great product that I know I've talked about on my channel before. It is the concealing treatment, what's it called? Skin Perfection Conceal by Perfeckt, or Perfeckt. Perfeckt. I used this, I believe, on the makeover on my mom. It is amazing for those with mature skin. If you have fine lines around or under your eyes, this is an amazing product. It also has skincare ingredients. My only big issue with this concealer is that it doesn't come in a lot of colors. I'm using the Luminous shade. So I squeeze about this much out of the top, and then I start in the inner corner of my eye, and then I blend down into that triangle shape. And then I just use my finger to softly blend it in. And I'm using my index finger and just lightly blending. I'm not pushing very hard. Look at the dramatic difference that made. And then the other eye, inner corner first. Make sure you get this inner portion right here, and then make the triangle. And now to make sure you don't get creasing right under the eye, a lot of us get the creases right there, make sure you go back and forth right under the lash line. This is why I never do my lash line, my eye makeup, like any powder or liner, until I've done my concealer and set it. Now for setting my face, I'm gonna set the under eye area first, and I've used in the past the Ben Nye Cameo powder. I still use that one when I'm doing more heavy contouring and baking. I also have used the Monica Dar C2 powder, which I still love. These days, I have been using the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Lite. I've discovered this is also a great powder for setting the under eye area, and the Lite is a good color if you have my skin tone. They also make Lite Plus, I believe, and there's a lot of shades in this powder. And then I'm taking a Morphe M438 brush, and I'm really picking up the product there, tapping it off, and then brushing it right under my eyes, and again in the inner corner by my nose. And because I'm so oily, I use this on my T-zone as well, and I also find that it helps to brighten up these areas. So I use it on my marionette lines and on my chin. And then to set the rest of my face, I have been using this Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Finish Powder. It is amazing. It is, I've talked about this before. It is just such a beautiful powder. It doesn't control oil though, or brighten, which is why I use the other powder first. So lately for contour, I've been using another product that I found deep in my stash. I've been doing some digging around there lately. It is the Shadester from MAC. It is a sculpting powder. Now I'm not certain if this is still available. I will write down below whether or not it's discontinued, but any cool toned matte bronze will work. And the contour brush I'm using is from Luxie Beauty. It is the JD Wadey 181 dual ended brush, and I'm using the fluffy end. So for myself, I like to do my cheeks, my forehead. If you have a small forehead, do not contour your forehead. If you have a forehead that only goes to here, don't contour your forehead. It'll only make it look smaller. A lot of people think they have to do every step that they see a YouTuber do in a tutorial, and that's just not true. You really have to understand your own face shape and what your needs are and tweak it to your needs. And to contour my nose, I'm using this oval brush from MAC. And I go pretty dark at first. As you can see, that looks pretty ridiculous. But then I continue to brush it out until it's really blended. And then what I'll do is I'll go back with my Beauty Blender and using the tip and just continue to soften those lines some more. Okay. And then I finish off with my blush, which today I'm using the Becca Mineral Blush in Flowerchild. And I apply that right into the apples of my cheeks and bring it up towards my hairline. And then for a little highlight, I am using the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Soft and Gentle. And this is a Real Techniques setting brush. So I finished off my face by using some Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in Caramel. Then I added some false lashes from House of Lashes in the iconic Lite. And then on my lips, I am wearing a combination of Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipsticks in Dolce with a little bit of Pure Hollywood in the center. So I hope you all enjoyed this in-depth look into my current foundation routine. I'm sure I'll be updating this every 3 or 6 months or so, depending on what I've changed. If I find some new great products that I'm consistently using, of course I'm gonna share those with you. But this is pretty much what I'll do even on a daily basis. Well, not on a daily basis. If I'm not going anywhere, I'm certainly not gonna put this amount of makeup on my face. But for a typical day, if I'm meeting people for lunch or I'm going out to dinner, this is typically what my foundation routine would look like. As always, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Please follow me on Instagram and Snapchat as well. Both of those are Risa Does Makeup, as is my Facebook page, also Risa Does Makeup. And I'll see you guys in my next video.